Good morning, good morning, good morning to
Hello.
people in Acworth, Georgia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and wherever you may be in the world watching this video at some point.
Yes.
I'm Dave Glick, the Executive Director of Triad Psych, but we're not here for me. We are here for Miss Stephanie Wilder, our dynamite new clinician in Acworth, who is crushing it all over the place. How she does it, I don't know. Again, she does her thing and patients are happy. So let's take it with hello, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
So what made you decide to want to become a therapist?
So I chose to become a therapist because I know firsthand what it's like having some anxiety and depression and navigating ADHD in my own life. So I feel like my own experiences taught me both the challenges and the resilience that it takes just to cope with that on an everyday basis. It also has a lot to do with people feeling like they're not alone, that they're out there, there's someone else out there that's like them. So I wanted to give back. I know that, like I've said, I've had my own time with some anxiety and depression, and I felt that it was a time to try to get out there and help others with that as well, because I know that it can really be a lonely feeling sometimes, feeling like you're alone. So having that extra support and somebody that understands and has been there themselves, I think helps to navigate that process of healing and understanding that you're good, you can thrive, and you can just make every day the best. So
It's amazing how having a connection with another person, a genuine connection, can
mhm.
make so many of your problems less overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. And I hear that a lot from clients when they come in. I try to make the office space as comfortable as possible. I have, my live plants,
Yeah.
and I love my window. And I always hear people come in, they're like, oh, it's so comfy and it's so nice. I turn on the lamps to turn the overhead light off. So I try to make it not only a place that they feel comfortable and safe, because you have to have that safe space to be able to let your guard down, let that armor down, to be able to talk freely. And you have to have trust with that person, and you have to know that they genuinely care. And I genuinely care about the other person. I'm not in it for, obviously, I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for I'm in it for the reasons of wanting to genuinely help the other person. And if there's any way that I can help, I meet them where they're at. And, I even tell them that in session. I'm like, hey, if, to me, it's like being on a sailboat. We adjust the sails as we go. So if there's a day that somebody needs an extra session, all they have to do is, message and say, hey, I need an extra, session, telehealth, whatever it is. Having that open door, I think, helps them to feel that connection as well. So that's what I hope to achieve with all
Yeah,
the
the sailboat analogy is really, really true. That, sometimes we can't control the direction of the wind.
yeah,
How can we get closer to where we need to be? How can we look at whatever direction's happening and somehow utilize it to our advantage? Is a big
right,
part of therapy too. I want you to talk more about people in their armor. I think getting people to give up their armor, even if it's just for 1 hour a week, is
right.
really, really critical
It
for the
is.
work we do. So let's talk about how you work with people's armor and how you get them to shed the armor for at least while they're with you.
Yeah. So obviously every person's different. And so I take that individualistic approach to that. Some people come in and, they're talking right off the bat. They're just, here they are. And some it takes a good few sessions to really dig in. Sometimes it takes about, a month for them to feel safe, to feel comfortable, just trying to break through that. And I think over time, those people that have a harder time coming out of their shell, a harder time getting to that point, time will tell on that. The more they come in, the more comfortable they'll get, letting them know that, hey, it's a safe place here. And I have seen them just, you can tell when they just relax, you know, when they finally just like kind of relax into the couch. You know, at first they're kind of like tense when they come in and, you know, very nervous and kind of skirting around. I have some, you know, some clients be like, oh, can I say that in here? But it's definitely, I want them to feel like, hey, come as you are, you know, come as you are. That's how we can help. We can't help if we don't know. So we have to, you know, unravel it. I call it, it's like mental health, kind of like an onion. It's peeling back all the layers to get down to the part that we have to heal. So as much as we can know, nothing is ever too much. Sometimes I have clients, I'll talk, is that too much? And I'm like, no, like I need to know everything, right? So hopefully that with time, it's amazing the transformation that one can make from coming out of their shell to, it's really cool to see that develop. And sometimes it does take it, you know, a few months, but it happens. So
Isn't it amazing how when we put people in a safe place, you know, we close the door to the office, and that's our way of saying, look, this is a safe space, a safe place, that it's still can be very threatening for people and very awkward.
yeah,
Even a concept of a safe space or a safe place.
right. And you know, it's very critical for them to feel that, to be able to actually talk freely. In my office, I have tons of gadgets everywhere. So I have like fidget spinners, I have books to color in, I have pen and paper, I have squishies, I have modeling clay, and it's amazing. Even the adults, they use it. You know, they use all the stuff. Trying to find one at my desk here, but I have all the little things to play with, and actually diverting their, getting that attention to on something else, I have noticed opens up them to be able to talk more freely as well. So you know, that's something that, you know, I always notice they will gravitate toward playing with something, or, you know, and that always helps to make them, I think, feel at ease. So
I remember I had an adult patient way back when, and it took a while for her to take her armor down. She had quite a bit of armor, and she had reason to have a lot of armor.
yeah.
But, you know, once she really got into the groove of the therapy, she said, I feel like I'm here and I'm being put in a crib with like a busy, you know, we used to have something in my generation called a busy box, where babies would like look at their reflection or hit a dial, things for them to spin. Just, I feel like I come here and I get to, you know, enjoy and explore different things, talk about things I didn't know I could ever talk about without being judged, and
Right.
wrap it all up when I'm done and go back out into the world. But I feel a lot better.
Right.
So that's a big plus to what we do.
Right. It is. And some people just need, you know, I think hearing, obviously there's research that behind even hearing our self-talk, we help come to a conclusion, or we help solve our own problems just by listening to ourselves. So it does help to have a sounding board or somebody else to communicate with, or just to even be there, just to sit. Like, you know, sometimes I'll have a client come in and they'll say, well, not much has happened, I don't know what to talk about. Well, there's always something to talk about. And the next thing you know, they're talking about something, and here we go. And they're like, wow, I didn't even realize that had really affected me. And I'm like, So, you know, there's always something there that, you know, has gone on in their lives, whether they're weak, whether they realized it or not. And it's just, you know, it's just kind of digging in and letting it, you know, letting it finally come out, that safe place to really get them to think. And, you know, sometimes I'll sit there and I'll have a client, they'll have that light bulb moment, and you can actually see it. It's like, oh, wow, you know, and I'm like, oh, there it is. You know, they put the two things together, you know, but guiding them.
I don't think there's anything more satisfying for us as therapists when we have that aha moment. We finally captured what's going on, you know, with the person. And I recently had a patient who was involved with an unhealthy man, and she knew he was unhealthy. You know, why do I keep going back? Why do I keep going back? And I said, well, I think you're trying to rescue your father. And all of a sudden, it all made sense to her.
Yeah.
Quickly. So I think also when someone comes in and says, look, there's nothing to really talk about, it's a form of resistance in psychotherapy. So how do you manage resistance with your patients if there's resistance?
So just giving them that, sometimes they like the control, I think. So just giving them that space, that that's okay. That if there's nothing, maybe, I usually go back to be like, well, how's your week been? I'll go back to what we talked about last time. Getting them comfortable. Again, it's about comfort and letting them know that this is their hour. This is their time. Like when they come in this room, they are my focus. Like nothing else matters. Like it's them. And that's who I'm focusing on. And so many people, like we are so scattered in today's society with electronics and cell phones and everything, that it's so hard. Not many people really even have a one-on-one hour time, just even with a family member anymore. I asked someone the other day, well, what do you guys do for dinner? Do you have family time? No, we just all eat separate. And I'm like, oh, because usually for me growing up, that was our family dinner. Our dinner time was the time to sit and talk to each other with no phone, with nothing. And that doesn't happen a lot anymore. So a lot of people don't have just that genuine one-on-one time just to even just be with each other, just to sit there disconnected from everything. And I think that also just, it helps them to decompress. They have to have that. Everyone has to have that time just to like decompress and just be, just sit there with someone else and just talk about, it could be good things. Therapy doesn't necessarily always have to be that something's wrong. It could always be, oh, this is what's good, empowering the other person. I had someone the other day that came in, they've been working hard and they got a promotion, and it was a session about the promotion at the job, and that's wonderful, because that's another thing I don't feel like a lot of us do anymore, is we don't high five each other. We don't, oh, that was great. So many people are, not that they're jealous, but everybody's just so anxious, and it's good to be able to support and be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I knew you could do it, and sometimes just hearing that, they don't get that from home. They don't even get that sometimes from their relationships, and it's sometimes sad to know that someone's in a relationship that they're not getting their emotional needs met. But hopefully having, that extra time and that gives them that confidence, to, oh, I'm good. I can, I've got this, I can move forward. So.
And remember when I trained you, I told you, what's the most dangerous question you can ask a patient? You just said it. You answered it a second ago. What's the most dangerous thing you can ask a person, even if it's not a patient?
Ask like the most dangerous thing.
Or powerful. Or powerful thing you can ask.
Oh. Like ask them why, maybe?
Ask them, are you getting your needs met?
Yeah. That's.
You don't know what that will elicit in somebody.
Yeah. That's. And most of the time the answer is no.
It is, and people, to realize that, or even think about their needs in a concrete, specific way, is a big part of what we do. And I think, based on what you brought up, that how we practice is very much dictated by the environment and the times we're living in, and technology and separating from technology has become so much a part of our work. I've seen it morph over the 23 years since I opened Triad, that, a few years after I opened, we had the rise of the high-speed internet, the massive multiplayer online games. And, back then, the main issue with technology was more that, I told my kid to go to bed to get off the game, and they had a violent outburst. At one point in Cobb County, I think that was the county that we practice in, that was one of the number one 911 domestic violence calls.
Wow.
You were younger then, but there's I called down. I told my son to get off the Xbox or whatever it was, and we have a violent incident on our hands now.
Right.
But now it's become, we don't really see that as much anymore. I think because those kids have grown up, and technology just becomes such a part of our lives. But getting people to understand that they can separate from their technology, that it's okay to live deliberately.
Right.
critical in a
Yeah.
major way.
Right.
And that relates to their armor. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of patients are just numbing themselves with their phones and
Oh yeah.
streaming services and everything else under the sun,
Right.
which is designed to do that to an extent.
Right.
A couple of years ago, no more than a couple, we had a lot of younger kids who were literally addicted to TikTok.
Mhm.
Young females making these very provocative TikTok videos,
Mhm.
and they just felt they couldn't stop anymore,
Right.
taking control of them.
Yep. Yep.
So, managing technology is so critical
Yeah.
for
Definitely.
all of us. At the same time, we like it. We're here right now.
Right. We have to have it.
A video, which in the past would have required, a larger crew and much more expense. So I think a big part of modern therapy is managing and
Right.
leveraging technology the right way, not the wrong way.
Right. Yep. Everything in moderation for sure. Um, and sometimes I'll even say, hey, let's put like a cap on it. Let's put a limit. Like if you go home, spend an hour, spend 30 minutes, get on whatever, do your thing. And then, but have that mindset of, okay, this is my time. And then I'm going to put it away and then be mindful about other things that's going on because, not only is it addicting, it people are seeing online, they're seeing other people's highlights is their real life, and that's distorting their image of things. So they see a lot of, oh, well, this person's got this and this person has that, but look at me, here I am struggling. And I'm like, yeah, but you're seeing their highlights. You're not seeing what's the other side of, maybe they've had a bad day. They may not post that part, so we're
You
only,
just,
we're not, yeah,
you
we're
just
not.
inspired me. I think I need to write a blog post called "Facebook is Fake Book."
Yes, that would be awesome.
We all have to spend so much time. So
Yeah,
look, what you're seeing on Facebook is a veneer. They're
right,
not going to put their issues up there, but you
right.
see it and it increases to depression. I've not had a single patient who did a Facebook fast or a social media fast and ever regretted it.
Right. Same. Yep. I've asked that too of a few clients. I'm like, let's just take a break because I've done it before. I've taken a break, or I've deactivated, deleted Facebook, Instagram, and made just a profile of just trying to follow, either psychology or stuff like that, or like happy, funny stuff. So it would hopefully the algorithms will work to not send me, other things or it's just me. It's like I don't have friends, and that has helped tremendously, even with myself, just to take a break from all that. And then after a time, you go through a little withdrawal period, and then after a while, you don't miss it, and you look back and you're like, wow, that was nice. That's nice to not have to be looking at the phone to see what's going on, and yeah, so
Every one of my patients who's ever done it, if they can really stick to it, they also feel very powerful once they've done it. They
yeah.
feel very powerful
Hmm.
and much more assertive, and it's never been negative.
Definitely, they get their confidence almost back too, because they're not sitting there comparing themselves to someone else and worrying
Yeah,
about all that.
I remember I had a therapist back in the 90s in Boston who said to me, if you stop comparing yourself to other people, you'd be a lot less depressed. Well,
Yeah,
you're right about that. So I just
yeah,
stopped doing it. And I think that's the thing, is that the Facebook and the social media encourages
yeah,
that in a major way as well.
yeah,
Breaking that down is also important. All right,
right.
you also see a lot of kids. Let's talk about your magic sauce with the kids and what you do with kids working.
Oh, so I do see a lot of kids. I would say I do see as young as 6. I would say my primary population I do see would probably be between 12 and 30, although I work with clients across all populations, but my special focus is 12 to 30. But I do see kids as young as 6. It just kind of really depends. Um, so I do play therapy as well. So I have my office set up where I have toys, I have all kinds of stuff in different little areas of my office. And when I first meet a client that is under 18, usually I'll meet with the parents, the guardians, and the child together. And then after that, it's mostly me and the client after that. But I always try to kind of find out what they like. I try to figure out everybody's different, right? And especially children, they all have, some like, anime, some like Spider-Man, some like, everybody likes something different, bluey. I always want to try to find things that they like, but that I can also use in sessions. So, usually I'll kind of ask around, oh, what's your favorite character? What do you like? What do you watch on TV? What do you do? And that kind of puts it in my head. So then I can kind of be like, all right, I can kind of start curating the next kind of few sessions with that, because I've noticed that with children, they're interested in something. They don't even know they're in therapy. They think it's, but I bring out my like CBT tiger cards. I bring out my emotion cards, and we'll incorporate different things in the session. And so they're learning coping skills. They're learning calm down methods. They're learning emotional regulation. And sometimes they don't even realize it because we're playing a card game, so they're,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you learn, it still boggles my mind how much you learn about a kid's personality by playing a game with them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And some of them are very, they'll come in, oh, I want to play this. I want to play this. Like they love certain things. They come in excited, that they're ready, or sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't want to do that day. I want to do, I have emotional Jenga. So we'll put together.
Hold on. What is emotional Jenga? I've never heard of that. Now what is emotional Jenga?
Yep. So it's a Jenga game, like the normal wooden little blocks. And so that's part of, sometimes the client, just depends. Sometimes they want to put it together. Sometimes they want me to help. So that's facilitating that bonding. And, we're talking during this time, and we'll put together the Jenga, and then I have emotional Jenga cards. And so we'll take turns, playing the cards. And then if it's their turn, they pull one out, but they're different colors. So if we have the cards, and I'm like, all right, you have to get a red one, then they have to pull a red one out, or if my card's green. But all the emotion cards, they're all different questions. Like the red is anger, the green is calm. And it asks different questions like, okay, what would you do in this situation? Or, what have you done in this situation? How can we do it better? And different things like that. So it's a lot of, it's talking, it's the CBT, and it's the play therapy kind of all mixed together. So I try to make it where they're not just coming in and, we're like staring at each other. And so how's your day? I try to make it where it's fun, and, it's something that we can, most of the time, if it's under age 15, I'm usually in the floor with them. So we'll just, I have a space there, and we both just get in the floor, and we just do stuff like that. That's something that's really fun to do, is the emotional Jenga.
Sounds wonderful. I want to play emotional Jenga.
Yeah, it's fun.
That sounds great. Everything, no matter what you're doing, whether you're training, you're doing therapy, it's all about engagement.
Yeah.
And, it's harder to engage kids than it is to engage adults. But once you have a kid engaged, you're doing very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot comes out too during sessions. Some things that, wasn't even expected, sometimes off the radar, because it'll open them up to feel comfortable and safe. And then they'll say something, and I'm like, oh, interesting. So it's just a good time to, that makes them feel that, hey, they're on my level. They're here for me. The kids will know that I'm not there. I think sometimes they come in thinking that it's punishment or it's something bad. They'll be like, oh, I'm, why is mom bringing me here, or something. But then once they realize that, oh, this is a safe place, like Stephanie's nice, I think then that helps a lot.
Yeah, it does make a big difference. On your Psychology Today profile, you identify as neurodiverse. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yep. So I have ADHD, and it was college I was diagnosed. And so, but that's something that my whole life I've dealt with. I had to learn some coping skills, obviously young, because, I was born in the 80s. And so at that time, it wasn't too well known, I guess. I know I even had some.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
And I had just begun practicing. Mm-hmm. And they published a book called Driven to Distraction, which was written by two Boston psychiatrists. Mm-hmm. I knew one of their wives named Nancy Rady, and was part of a group with her. And that's when it really, really took off. I mean, yeah, there was some mention of it in the 70s as well. A guy named Dr. Gardner, he wrote a book,
Yeah.
but it was the book Driven to Distraction that made everyone want to be ADD.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely, it's a thing. And it's something that, I'm still learning. I'm still learning things every day that can, help. It's definitely, it has its challenges for sure. Especially with people that don't have it, they don't get it, and so sometimes I'll have an adolescent or a child that has it, and the parents like, I don't understand why she just can't do this, and I'm like, well, she may forget, or she may, time blindness sometimes, finding something, losing something, putting something down, like that structure is very much needed there, making charts, making lists, having post-it notes, like all the things of, even myself, I know exactly where, when I come home, I put my keys in a certain spot, because if they're not there, I will not know where they are. So I think that by me having to go through that myself, it helps as well for other clients that are going through that, because a lot of the times we will connect and they're like, oh my gosh, you understand, you get it, like what have you done to help this? Or so it also helps facilitate that as well, because sometimes people that don't have it, they don't understand it. It would be like trying to explain childbirth to someone that's never had a baby. Like, there's a feeling that people have, I don't have kids, but that's a feeling someone would have, and you can't explain that to someone else. So it's definitely, you can read textbook all day, you can read, learn therapies and different like modalities of therapy and stuff all day. But I think actually when you have it, you can understand, and it does help.
Right. I mean, I'm neurodivergent myself, and I was neurodivergent before it was cool. It's for people from my generation. It's especially those of us working in the field. We woke to a new reality,
Right.
In the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
I think this is the best time I've ever seen for neurodivergent people. Moving more towards neuroequity, that sort of thing that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk going on Saturday Night Live saying, I'm neurodivergent.
Right.
The wealthiest man in the world.
Right.
Says something right there. And we're
Right.
seeing divergent folks who are basically taking over the world, especially in the STEM fields, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Watching this out there on your computer somewhere out there, and you're considering a clinic, you now know Stephanie Wilder a little bit better.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You in real life soon. Be good.
Thank you. Bye.